for you and answer any questions that you may have before tonight's vote. My term will end December 31st of this year, as I don't know who said it. I'll be going up to Lake Erie to run a bee and a winery. It's there's no breakfast. Don't ask for it. The health department makes having a restaurant very difficult, so you want to limit the amount of hot dishes you actually serve. Things I've come to know, and so we won't be serving food.
Could you get Mary Taylor's common sense agenda on that?
You know, it's interesting. If I were to say, going through a regulatory process, getting a federal wine license, for instance, I'm surprised to find out there's actually no charge. It does take some time because they look at your finances. It's evidently a top way of funneling drug money. Open up a winery. Who knew? Anyway, that'll look great on Kovacs' video. It's getting your cable television to work properly. That's really been a challenge for us. So, and to lift the pH balance of the soil to grow the best grapes.
Chris, do you want to respond to some of the allegations that were outlined in the Newhart
manifesto?
email?
I think I called it.
The manifesto?
No. We're all entitled to our opinions. We're all entitled to opinions. I leave the party stronger than I found it. I became chair December 19, 2005. The former chair, Denny White, a friend of mine, decided to resign as chair. I think it was the Monday or Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and the vote was held about a month later. He resigned abruptly that night when he offered his resignation in November. So there was not a chance for us to have an orderly process, to work with the new chair, and to offer guidance on things as mundane as the mortgage, which Sharon pointed to as debt. Well, it is, but it's much different than the kind of debt that national and state parties campaigns incur. For instance, I'm very proud that we have a building that houses now 25 full-time employees, both caucuses, as well as the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus, the House and Senate Caucus. Something we were not able to do over at the old building. And when I sat down with then Governor Strickland and my chief of staff, John Hazley, the chief of staff of the governor, and we put together a plan of looking at buying a property that would meet our needs, not just in 2007 or 2008, but through the course of the next 30 years. We came to the Salvation Army, which owned this building, and we made them an offer. They accepted it, and here we are. And I think it was the right decision. And for those who aren't part of the executive committee, probably, and I don't say this insultingly, but if you're not part of the process for the last several years, because literally you're not in the building, then you don't know. And so Sharon or anyone else is free to have their own opinions. And I think David, going forward, will be able to defend the kinds of investments the state party has defended, because he'll make the similar kinds of investments. Look, there were more than 500 employees who worked for President Obama. They really worked for the Ohio Democratic Party. So to have the capacity to meet, to do things, to offer up the technology that you need when you're winning a presidential race, you need the kind of infrastructure we've invested in. I believe now, as I've believed over the course of the last few years, that we've built the strongest state party in the country. My critics, and there seems to be a couple left, point out that well, we lost the last two statewide cycles. Yes, we also lost the Chillicothe mayor's race. We lost a race in Mansfield. We win races, we lose races. Donors to political parties are investing not in individual candidates, they're investing in infrastructure so that the infrastructure remains. In 2019, I'm a bit of a student of Ohio political history, certainly not an expert, but in 1990 when Governor Celeste left office and then Governor Voinovich took over, you recall that it became what became we reflect on the fact on what became the unraveling of the Ohio Democratic Party in the early 1990s. If David Pepper, or if she were successful, Sharon Newhart or Antoinette Wilson or Bobby Hagan, are to be judged on 1 or 2 cycles, and that is a very bad decision and approach to party building. Because if you reflect on what we've accomplished here at the Ohio Democratic Party with this extraordinary staff, Bill is here and Meredith in the back and so many others you've come to know, some have come to be considered friends, you know that we have invested in the very best in the state of Ohio and the results are in. We nearly swept in 2006. We had historic municipal wins in 2007. We won a presidential race in 2008. We won a presidential race in 2012. We again had municipal success in 2009. For the first time in our history as a state, we led the effort to repeal a signature piece of legislation with Senate Bill 5. For the first time since Franklin Roosevelt's second term, Ohio elected a Democratic governor twice, a Democratic president twice, with more than 50% of the vote. For the first time in our state's history, you had the same Democratic Party team, the chair and my team, electing a governor, a president twice, a U.S. senator twice, picking up seats in the United States Congress, winning a majority in the State House with Republican-drawn lines. These things had never happened in the history of the party. I reflected a little bit after I heard of the news of Bob Bennett's passing. It seems only Chairman Bennett, myself, and a few others note these kinds of successes and also our defeats because we are only judged on our last cycle. Bob Bennett ought not be judged on his last cycle. Bob Bennett ought not be judged on his last cycle. He should be judged in his collection of work, and that's the way those who will look back at the Ohio Democratic Party will judge myself and my team. John Gilligan in 1968 really went about the business of starting the modern-day Democratic Party. And over the course of the last several decades, many great political leaders have had a large role in that. None so since John Gilligan, none more so than Ted Strickland. Before Ted was governor, during the 4 years Ted was governor, and in the years since, he has never said no. He has party built. He has traveled extensively across this country with me and without me. He's traveled with my team because he understands what we went through in 1990, 91, 92, 93, 94 cannot happen. The party remains. Candidates come and go, but the party and its infrastructure remain. We're the strongest voter file in the country. We know more about voters, both Republican and Democrat, than any other state party does. We've invested in the very smartest and very brightest Ohioans to help guide this effort. I asked Meredith and Liz Walters, who, by the way, is in the Bahamas right now, with no Wi-Fi contact, in a one-room cottage. That's pretty good. I asked them to put together some statistics, and I'll distribute those tonight to members of the executive committee.